So this video is about Dr. Group of Global Healing Center. And just a quick warning, this video is essentially a re-upload of a previously recorded video, and I'll explain why that is at the end. So Edward F. Group III is founder and CEO of Global Healing Center. He runs a YouTube channel, Facebook page, and of course, a supplement store. I wouldn't describe Edward as an advocate of either conventional or alternative medicine. The best way to describe this man is as a practitioner of conspiracy medicine. So let's get into his biography, and I'll start by paraphrasing from this 2013 interview. Dr. Group confesses to his intuitive abilities and describes growing up as an indigo child. He refers to his father as a worker for the Exxon Corporation. His father worked closely with PVC plastics and was a developer of Saran wrap, who subsequently died of cancer. When his father passed, he learned of his family's deep involvement with the Illuminati. He claims that during his research into his past, he found a Masonic code dating back to Palatial Webster, the original writer of the US Constitution. Dr. Group recalls a long family history that includes a shady past involved in the control of humanity. For those who are unaware, indigo children are basically X-Men in infant form, and intuitive abilities are probably the lowest form of superpower you could possibly claim to be endowed with. Saran wrap was developed in the 1930s, and the Exxon Corporation didn't exist until the 1970s, and none of its predecessors developed Saran wrap either. So I'm finding it hard to take seriously Dr. Group's ability to research the history of even his closest relatives, let alone 12 generations into his past. Now, before we talk about qualifications, I just want to quickly make the point that Dr. Group calls himself a doctor on account of having a chiropractic degree. Now, I've said this in a few different videos, but it's worth repeating. A chiropractor is not a doctor in the way that many people think. And in the UK and in many other countries, chiropractors do not use the title of doctor because it lends itself to confusion. I don't know if Dr. Group is even registered to practice as a chiropractor, but even if he is, in general, chiropractors cannot prescribe medicines or conduct any surgeries, and they can't progress into any of the roles that people imagine medical doctors to fill. Now, some people would say that he's not a real doctor, but I don't really like this distinction. Just make sure that you're aware of the difference between a DC and an MD. So with that said, let's take a look at his qualifications. Now, Dr. Group is a graduate of the Texas School of Chiropractic, and as far as I can tell, this is the only genuine degree that he has. John Oliver's show already looked into Dr. Group's other qualifications, and Dr. Group admitted to the show that he's not graduated from any of the other schools listed on his LinkedIn, and does not have an undergraduate degree. It's hard to understand why they're listed at all. Now, Dr. Group also lists Harvard Business School and MIT on his website, but these courses are not degrees, nor are they focused on medicine or science. MIT told the John Oliver Show that it is inaccurate and misleading for him to describe himself as an MIT alumni. The Natural Healing Institute of Naturopathy also features prominently. However, this school has been ordered to shut down by the state of California for failing to meet the minimum operating standards. And there are also a number of disturbing and scathing reviews of this institute on Yelp, including a number of women being coerced into wearing their underwear in classes against their wishes. So although Group sits in front of an impressive number of certificates, it's hard to take his education seriously. So let's take a look at the content of Group's videos. As I said before, Dr. Group is a conspiracy theorist, and most of his videos focus on the usual alternative medicine talking points like toxins, fasting, recipes, chemtrails, big pharma, detoxing, and most importantly of all, supplements. I don't have time to try and tackle all of these points in this video. Let's have a look at some of the more amusing clips he's put out there, though, and I'll leave it for the viewers to decide if Dr. Group is the right person to summarize information on health and well-being.
Every living substance, or every living organism, is composed of at least 80% water minimum. The earth itself is composed of 80% water minimum.
Now, even with the most generous interpretation of the relevant facts, Group is way off here. The Earth itself certainly isn't 80% water, but perhaps 70% of its surface is covered in water, and the human body is not 80% water either. A newborn baby might be 70%, but the typical adult is probably closer to 60% water. Now, these are critical errors when Group starts his presentations with such lofty ambitions.
Every single thing that I'm going to tell you tonight is 100% true.
Now, Dr. Group also thinks that the oxygen content of the air varies wildly around the world and across time.
If you look 100 years ago, we had 28% oxygen in the air. Right now, oxygen is a key component. I mean, oxygen in water is what drives your body. And right now, in some cities, it's down to 6%. So we're literally, because of all the trees that are being cut down, everything's being poisoned, we're losing our oxygen levels.
In reality, the concentration of oxygen in the air has changed imperceptibly over the last million years, and people would struggle to breathe at all in 6% oxygen. I doubt cars could even run if that was true. Look, the air in the city might not always be healthy to breathe, but it's not because there's less oxygen. 6% oxygen would be like trying to breathe at the summit of Mount Everest.
Fluoridated water never prevented cavities. The largest fluoridated water study took place in the 1980s and involved 39,000 children. And it was determined that cities with fluoridated water had no difference in tooth decay from the cities that didn't. There's tons of research out there on the internet.
Group often promises to post his sources, but he never does. I've located the study that he's referencing, and the authors came to a rather different conclusion. When controlling for the effect of fluoride in toothpaste, they found that children in areas with fluoridated water had 25% less tooth decay. I'm not interested in trying to argue the merits of either case. I'm sure there are some good arguments for taking the fluoride out of water, but by plainly mistaking the results of studies, Group is just misleading his viewers.
Isn't it strange how the European Union has banned most of this stuff, but the United States still keeps it in the water supplies? I mean, the EU has banned fluoride. It's banned a lot of the bromine, has banned a lot of these toxic chemicals.
Yeah, once again, this is factually incorrect. The EU has not banned fluoride in the water, and several EU countries do add fluoride to drinking water. Critics of my channel will probably not be surprised to learn that I live in a region with an active program and drink fluoride in my tap water.
National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, massive survey that examines current health trends. First study in the early 70s found that 2.5% of citizens were iodine deficient. Now, up to 75%. Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism warned that these numbers indicate extreme iodine deficiency and doesn't include mild deficiencies. And I will post all these studies too to the follow-up to this webinar so everybody can actually see and read, and they can go track it back themselves, because
Dr. Group never did post these studies. Now, iodine is a key focus of his channel lately, probably because he's trying to push his nascent iodine supplements on people who don't need them. Now, 75% is a big number, and it's wrong. The most up-to-date data I could find from the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey that Dr. Group respects so much are from this 2008 paper, which concludes that there's been adequate iodine nutrition in the general US population since 2000. Look, I could probably go on forever here pulling apart his claims, but I don't think it takes much to prove that Dr. Group isn't the expert he so desperately wishes to be. If you watch his channel or take his supplements based on his credibility as a doctor and researcher, now might be a good time to reconsider. Now, the reason that I reshot this video is because the original video was taken down due to Dr. Group's nefarious use of the copyright claim system. Rather than face his detractors, he's abusing the claim system to try and silence his critics. My original video included clips of him talking, and I also used silent footage of him whilst I commented on the things he was saying. So in this video, I've really restricted the time I have him on screen for. Now, the last video I uploaded was shared a number of times on Facebook, and it makes a huge difference. YouTube doesn't seem to want to recommend my videos, so thanks a lot to all the people who share them and leave nice comments. Let's see if we can fit in one more clip of Dr. Group goofing off as a special treat for watching to the end.
These natural products will help reduce exposure from radiation caused by nuclear fallout. Because, I mean, let's face it, it's not like we can just make a call to the government and say, hey, stop spraying chemtrails.
Personally now, especially with Fukushima, especially with the chemtrails, especially with all the stuff that's coming down on top of us,
yes, you can use the MMS protocol while taking iodine as long as you're not taking the iodine or the MMS within 1 hour of each other.